Hello and welcome to Cerulean Arts Gallery. Tonight we're speaking with Sally Benton in conjunction with her Cerulean Arts Collective Exhibition, which is on view now through February 11th. Hello, Sally.
Hello, how are you, Mike?
I'm good. Yourself?
I'm doing all right.
So Tina's moving into your show. So please tell us a little bit about yourself and the show.
Well, I've loved art my whole life, as long as I can ever remember. A little girl in elementary school, first grade, you know. Um, and my father was artistic, and my grandmother and my great aunt were both were artistic. So I guess I come about it naturally. Um, Here's a painting I love. This was painted from a view outside my bedroom window when the fall flowers were just over the top. And I love the way the dark curtains show up and the lace and the light coming through the lace at the top, little twinkly spots right there. It just felt fun capturing that moment in time with that tree right there. You can see it, and there's a bench
So,
kind of suggested.
so did you paint it on the spot?
Well, in this case, I did not. It was going to be too difficult to do that in the bedroom. To set up my easel in the bedroom was not going to happen. So this is one of the rare occasions where I actually took a photograph.
And when you work from a photo, do you make a drawing or do you work directly from the photo? How did it?
I work directly from the photo.
Mhm.
I'm one of those spontaneous type painters that doesn't have time to be sketching out everything.
Uh-huh.
Um,
So you paint
I just,
like
yeah,
directly? Hmm.
that's what I do.
And then the majority of the work are still life?
Yes, that is true. Although I do portraits from time to time, yes.
Hmm. What attracts you to the still life genre?
What attracts me? Form, light, color, anything that sparkles. Um, just the way the light comes shining through a vase like that. Uh, the shadow to the left. It just, it's all sort of magical to me. And the highlights, if it interests me, I hope it interests whoever sees it. That's how I feel about it.
And are these things that are like in your daily experience or do you set them up?
Well, I set some up, and sometimes it's spontaneous. Sometimes it's just something, a bowl of something that I happen to notice after a very long time. And I think, wow, that's pretty neat. So I will either paint by setting up, or I will paint. Well, here's an example right here. This one here, my great grandfather's shaving stand. I just happen to have these items lined across it. And I thought, you know what? This would make a neat painting.
Mhm.
So I set about doing it. And I'm going to tell you the detail nearly drove me mad, especially writing the word sweetie up there. That was really hard. But I did it, I persisted, and I find that it's unique. You're not going to find this anywhere else. It's unique to me and this painting.
Well, it's an interesting combination of like a antique shaving stand and like more contemporary objects.
Right, that clock. Many years ago, my husband and I went to Hong Kong, and that clock is of Mao Zedong,
Oh, really?
which we bought at a little store in Hong Kong. It's pretty, I wouldn't say
Uh,
it's detailed, but there he is. He's
right.
waving to the
Yes.
crowd.
Hmm.
He's got his cap on, and that uniform that he would wear.
Right.
Anyway, a suggestion. I didn't get into great detail with it, but it was fun, and the color was, I thought, fantastic. That red is so amazing.
Yeah, you've got a great color contrast happening between the objects and the brown stand.
Thank you.
And you're working in oil paint?
Yes, that's right. It's a little hard to see, but this is a collection of items, earrings and marbles and lapel pins and a bracelet. And it's a turquoise, a tortoiseshell box that intrigued me. The way the light hit the edge. I don't know, this is what it is. The way the light hits that silver bracelet.
Hmm.
That's what excites me about painting. If I can capture it and express it and somebody sees it and says, wow, then I'm happy. And this particular one is another one of the happenstance kinds of things. This plate was sitting in my studio with all these things all over it and bits all around. And I thought, you know what? This is neat. I'm going to try. And I have to say, it's very detailed. It took a while, but it was so rewarding. I really, really enjoyed it. Dried roses there from bouquets that my husband gave me. A copper pitcher, very small, from I don't know where, Tunisia, maybe. I really don't know. But it has a strong shadow there because the light was over, it was behind it. And it was a electric light that I was shining on it. It just, I was really happy with it. That's all I can say about that.
So we're going to move along to the other walls.
Sure.
So it sounds like you travel a lot.
Well, haven't traveled too much lately. We have gone to England because Andy's mother still lives there. She's 101.
Wow, how about that?
And she's still there, so we were there. But we used to travel quite a bit.
Mm. And you collect
This is a view of my backyard looking over at the neighbor's property at the end of the summer. It was fall, so I called it Last Call. And I love the way the shadow on the right is so dark, and the light on the right on the left of that seat is so light. I just really like the way the fence posts and things make lines across the grass. It was fun to paint. This one was partially still, I was partially direct and partially photographed. I did both in this case. I started out painting it on site, and then I photographed it because lights change, as you know, and I had to adapt to that. But I liked the freshness of it. I thought it was fun.
So when you lay it out on the canvas, do you do like an under drawing, or do you draw with a brush, or how do you?
I draw with the brush.
When you work out the composition right there?
I do it right then and there.
How about that?
I know it's crazy, but I do. It just gives it to me, it just gives it a freshness.
Well, it's very direct.
That is for sure. And then this was definitely just, just building it up with different things and seeing if it worked, and, just not drawing it, but just, and those, the stripes on that cloth, oh my.
Right, it must have been a challenge.
It was a challenge, and there's that same bottle, that same soda bottle. the sweetie,
Uh-huh.
bent, distorted, the way the light bends,
Hmm.
and my gardening shears for a touch of red.
So the still lifes have an interesting like abstract quality as well because you're looking down and then they're in like a plain background, so you can't
Yeah,
see
I guess
content.
you would say that. Yeah.
So it gives them a, sort of a almost a otherworldly quality sometimes.
Another one looking down on a bowl. I had it on the floor, looking directly down onto it, into it. An antique bowl. I think it's Pakistani. I'm not 100% sure about that. I have two of them. And then that's from a magnolia tree. That's upper right piece there. And then a couple of, and then the pine cones. That's the Atlas fir pine cone, I think. Those one on the right and left, that kind of a gray thing, and then a couple of other things. Yeah, that was enjoyable too. But again, it's like, oh wow, this is a challenge. Can I do it? I think I can.
And how do you work in oil? Do you start with like one color and then add the colors over top, or are you painting directly with color?
I'm painting directly with color. I mix right on the palette. I can be pretty sloppy sometimes,
Uh-huh.
but I think in the end, it works for me. I haven't done it the other way. This is how I do it. This was a porcelain basket that I got at probably a secondhand store or something, and a little pin made out of tin, a tin pin of a bee, and that's tissue paper I was trying to paint. And they're all a challenge. If you're an artist, it's always a challenge. It's never easy. But if you can get over that hump and just keep going, then sometimes you'll get something really satisfying.
Well, painting takes time, so
And that too.
it usually, doesn't look that great in the very beginning or for a while. It takes a while for it to start to come together.
It does.
So are there any artists that you like look up to or think about as you make your work?
Well, the artists that I think about have nothing to do with still lifes. John Singer Sargent is one of my favorites. May I just get into this one just for a sec?
Oh, sure.
Okay, this painting is called Southern Exposure because I did it in a guest room in the house where we just moved from a couple of years ago. Anyway, and it was at probably, I don't know, 11 o'clock in the morning or something. Anyway, the sun was moving faster than I could paint it.
Yeah,
And so I'd have to come back every day
Mm.
at the same time so that I could capture it. And I could never get that apple as bright as I wanted. Every time I'd have to lighten it and lighten it and lighten it. And the green on the right had to keep lightening it because it was so dazzling.
Uh-huh.
So I felt really good about it when I was through. I like it.
Well, it definitely radiates. So I think,
That's what I was looking for.
yeah, I think you got the light there.
Yeah. John Singer Sargent, Winslow Homer. Okay. This was my COVID painting. When we were still working in the studio, COVID hit and they closed the studio. This is at Woodmere. And my teacher said to us, there's some roses blooming outside the door and they're going to just bloom and die. Nobody will ever see them. So go cut them.
Uh-huh.
So I did. I got in my car. I got right in my car and I drove over there and I cut these roses
Mhm.
and I set them up in the studio and I painted them that very day.
Huh. Yeah, that's quite a story. So,
It's a COVID story.
Hmm.
Everybody has one.
Right. Yeah, it was a very strange time, but
Yes. And an attempt at painting foil, which looks easier than it is. But I like the idea and it was fun. In the end, it was fun.
yeah, it's definitely a challenge.
Yes, that's right. I like a challenge. I like a good challenge.
Mhm. So, what length of time do you spend on your paintings thereabout?
Well, it really depends because a day could go by so quickly, and
Right?
it's because when you're working, you're just absolutely absorbed in it. Um, Sometimes a few days, sometimes a week, sometimes a month. It depends.
And as you paint, are you continually adding paint or do you scrape it off and start over sometimes?
I can wipe things off.
Hmm.
I've been known to wipe things off, yes.
Because it seems
And
like you're working in a more direct style,
that's what I do.
yeah, and not using like glazes or,
I don't glaze. No, I do not. Lots of leftover piece of pie from a party we had.
did it last for the length of time it took to make
It did. It kind of got hard. And
Uh-huh. So you didn't eat it at the end?
no, it was not worthy of eating at the end. And that's a pastry that I bought at IKEA.
At IKEA. Uh-huh.
IKEA, and their bake shop.
Oh, right. Uh-huh.
Yeah, right. And I had this meat plate. So I thought, well, that would be fun. Everything has a story. How I felt when I saw something or whatever.
So in your statement, you mentioned that painting is like a meditation that keeps you grounded.
It's true. It is true. If I'm upset, if I don't know, struggling, painting sort of enwraps me. It really does. It kind of time flies. Let's just put it that way. And I can get stuff done, and I'm not thinking about troubles. I'm just not thinking about those things. Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely a benefit.
Yes. Oh, it is. Two peaches, probably in July, and two blackberries.
And do you work with a limited palette or do you add colors continuously or how do you set out your colors?
Pretty limited, I'd say. I do like a particular color. I think it's called cobalt turquoise. Do you know that color? It's a beautiful,
Hmm. I'm not familiar with it.
yeah, it's really nice to paint with that. It makes really nice highlights. It's great when you try to paint something metallic. It's a really nice color that
Hmm.
really imitates, that nature of metal.
Oh. Cobalt turquoise.
Yeah, it's really beautiful, but the limited palette is ultramarine blue, cadmium red light, cadmium yellow light, uh, sorry, earth red, transparent earth red, and sometimes a little bit of alizarin crimson, and white, of course, and ivory black.
Oh, okay.
And if I need to do something else, I will, but I generally use those things. Sometimes I'll do a raw umber. Maybe I'll put raw umber on my palette.
And this is called Red Dot.
Yes, and you're probably curious, why is it called red dot? Because between those two apples is a red dot.
Yes.
And that's how I began laying out the dots, you know? That's how I started, the center one.
The center.
Right. And that's called wavy spoon, and that's obvious.
Right, yes. Yeah, painting things through glass is always a challenge.
I love the bending of the light. Yeah, I think it's neat.
And so you're mostly setting these up in your studio at home?
That's right. Some of them I did in Woodmere Studio. This one was in Woodmere Studio, but yeah, well, was it actually? No, maybe it was at home. I'm not sure. Anyway, this was at home. This was a plastic Ziploc bag.
Yeah, another
I thought that would be fun.
Another
It
challenge.
was very challenging. Yes, it was. That took some wiping off and reapplying.
I bet. So do you
Yeah.
use a palette knife at all to apply?
No, not at all. Nope.
So brush.
Yes. I haven't mastered the palette knife. I haven't really. Yeah.
Well, it's a great show, Sally.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that.
And thanks so much for joining me tonight.
You're welcome.
And the show is up through February 11th, so we hope people will come down and check it out. And
I hope so too. That would be nice. That would make me happy.
Yes. And thanks again and have a great night.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.